You know, I always let it sit because of technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Let me just open by saying this. Restream, get your shit together. Yeah.
Yes.
I just called it out right here live. EP!
Get it together, my man. God, come on, Restream. You're killing me.
It's still July. I still hate summer. It's still 139 degrees Celsius. It feels like hell. Art Briles, what happened there?
Let me tell you something. As a
Hold
fat
on,
man,
guest. You'll speak when spoken about.
no, I'll speak when I damn well please. You know that.
Oh my God.
It's the marketing guy.
Summer, I'm just saying, as a fat man in DC with 99% humidity, it's not pretty.
I got 99%, but a pretty ain't one. All right, let me get back to my open, please. EP! It's still July. I still hate summer. It's still 139 degrees Celsius. It's like hell. Art Briles, what happened there? There's no World Cup. Baseball is awful. Music is terrible. Thor, Love, and Thunder, just no. And just like that, the dog days of summer are back. Yes, the Stugatz is strong in me. My name is Matt Stevenson. For some of you that are here, hopefully by now you know me from PM73 Media, perhaps from earlier days of the Insecurity Podcast, or maybe you've seen me in Whole Foods around 8:30 on a Tuesday night when the salad bar is wilted and the sushi set up just a little bit too long. If you don't know him by now, let me introduce the man who is the pillar of society today, holding us up from underneath, Edward Preston. EP, tell the people who you are.
I am the most interesting man not from this world. That's who I am.
Fair point.
Just hanging out, trying to keep an edge, Matt, just like Bono with the edge, hanging out in the Joshua tree. Hello, everybody. Nice to be back.
It's so polite. It's wonderful. After all the yelling to start things, I'm glad that we can calm down a little bit. Okay. So, you know, in these things, sometimes we will open with quotes from other people. Sometimes it's limited fake accent theater. But today you get to hear from me. I am curious to hear your thoughts on the influx of writing, grammar, and language AI solutions and features in things like Outlook and Gmail. Now, personally, I feel that joints like Grammarly are destroying the poetry of language. Their commercials are the stuff of nightmare when they show a grammatically correct, albeit a little flowery, long sentence that gets chopped down to basic functionality and reads like every other email people receive. I'm not saying it needs to read like a David Foster Wallace essay, but they don't all need to be Andrew Vox either. P.S. These are two of my top 10 favorite authors of all time. My thoughts: 1, be grammatically correct. 2, spell your words correctly. 3, don't bullshit your audience or yourself. 4, where is it? I can never point. Use less words. Useless words. And that is a quote from David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest. 5, be creative. Now, I know I just griped AI about chopping out words, and then I said use less words. Check yourself. It doesn't mean you can't use cool and interesting language. There is a reason people love good songwriting. There is a reason nobody sends a loved one flowers with a card that says, I like you, thanks. Look to my man Langston Hughes, and you shall not be led astray. I play it cool and dig all jive. That's the reason I stay alive. My motto, as I live and learn, is dig and be dug in return. Do something cool and interesting when you correspond with people, and you will definitely come out on the plus side of things. Do not let AI water down our beautifully bastardized, chaotic prism of a language. And yeah, I know. Dude, what the hell are you even talking about? Art Briles? Sorry, I keep doing that. Anyway, keep it moving. Today, we are really excited to welcome Shaun Walsh to PM73 Media on LinkedIn Live. Shaun is the VP of Marketing at SimSpace, Reading the Internet Theater, where they combine high-fidelity cyber ranges and attack content with unique user and adversary emulation techniques to create effective and efficient cybersecurity integrity. Our man has over 30 years in tech, security, and storage, but always about data protection and integrity. Senior leadership positions in marketing, product management, and sales. And he once thought it was a good idea to turn me and Richard Mellick loose on the world to jump on tour, create zero-day malware, then blow it up live in front of a studio across from FBI headquarters in D.C. But you'll have to tune into the oral history of silence to get more about that. Shaun, welcome to PM73 on LinkedIn Live.
Absolutely. Man, with an intro like that, I have a lot to live up to.
I'm very excited about that.
So there's a couple of things that I think are important to talk about.
Wait, Matt. Did you see Shaun and I actually have synchronized sipping? I don't know if you caught that because you were so getting ready, but Shaun and I actually at the same time, go back and you'll check like minute 4. Shaun and I both synchronize our sipping. Just
This-
putting that out.
is
Sean,
the-
roll.
And just
quality
for the
of
record,
content
that's all we're
we find-
synchronizing is our sipping.
Oh, I know that. I mean, hey, we got marketing, we got sales. There's going to be some friction.
Oh my God. We were never even on the rails to get off of the rails at this point. So please, Sean, as I was saying, or
So-
as you were saying.
As I was about to say. So, it's funny you mentioned the whole thing about writing and that sort of stuff. So I have two books that formed the basis of writing. One was, of course, The Elements of Style from Strunk and White, which I learned to read after reading biographies about Ernest Hemingway and how he would flowchart out all of his stories and his sentences and just prune the language. He'd write the story quick, but he'd spend hours and hours and hours pruning down the language. And then later on in life, I found this book called Adios, Strunk and White, which freed me to be verbose and share my personal inner feelings with the world with language and grammar. Unfortunately, when I took the SATs to show my age, there were only 2 parts of the SAT, not 3. And I got a 790 on math and a 387 in verbal. So, just to put this in perspective.
Wait, how did you even talk to your math teacher?
I basically just drew things on the board.
Okay.
And then, I mimed in sign language.
Nice.
All right. You know that we tend to get a little goofy on this show compared to a lot of the other really, really good shows out
I
there.
feel my blood in Crip signs.
Yeah. All right.
Don't do that again.
I-
Do not ever do that again. Where do we go from there, man?
What are we even doing? Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Let's
to
talk
the
about the
final
other
episode.
crypt. Yeah.
But no, seriously, it's funny.
Wait.
Hold on,
You
hold on.
have not 1, but 2 books. Are you going to be signing those books at Black Hat by any chance?
No.
Oh, man.
Why not?
Why?
Oh,
yeah, why
wait,
not?
Yeah, because he scored so
Because I just
poorly on
write
the verbal.
No, I said there were 2 books that influenced me, not that I wrote 2 books.
There we go.
Oh, okay, my bad. I thought I heard some kind of an author coming out.
Yeah, remember, the guy who needs AI to help him write doesn't write books.
Good point.
Fair point.
Good point.
You just turn it on anyway.
No,
Hello.
actually, the
Hello,
way
audience.
no, seriously, the way I do it is I shoot YouTube videos and then I send them off to people to transcribe, and then I run it through the AI to clean it up.
Interesting. Look at that little hack. Look at that hack coming
Hey.
from a marketing guy. That is epic. Good job.
All right, you know
It's
what?
all-
I'm actually going to tell this story. When I was but a slip of the youth, I used to read the Danny Dunn mysteries, and so now, given we are all roughly the same age, audience, some of you may know these, some of you may not. But there was one story where Danny Dunn and his pals hacked a computer because it was 1978, and that was a big deal, and got them to do their homework for them, and the computer did it poorly because their arch nemesis Bugs Meany did something mean to the computer. And so and I can't remember her name, but the girl, because that's usually the role that they played in the 70s.
Did they have an
teen
unrequited
literature.
love for Ali Sheedy at that point in time?
God, you talk so much. She went up to read her report and it was all messed up. But it was literally printing out words like whir and click. And at the end, they all ended up getting A's because they had worked so hard to learn computers, to get the computers to do their homework for them. The teacher's like, that was way more impressive than actually writing a research paper. So shout out to 1978 AI. Shout out to Danny Dunn. Danny Dunn and the Investigators. All right, enough of this crap. This is not what people tuned in for outside of David Cundiff, because he's the only one who recognizes. That's Dave in a car phone from Kentucky, by the way. He's going to hang up and listen.
Wow. Hey, thank God that story is done. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus. You get one of those per show. I feel like we need a sound effect at that point. Hey, listeners and audience, please stay tuned. I promise we're actually going to talk about what we were going to talk about.
Get our guests on track.
This
So,
is
Matt, as your Tinder consultant, I tell you, I advise you never tell that story on your next date. Don't.
Wow. Tinder consultant.
This was supposed
Wow,
to be the
not
easy
Bumble.
episode.
Tinder. How about
Good
that?
Lord.
Tinder, Grinder, take your pick. You know, I'm equal opportunity.
There is a different pick there. Oh man, I was gonna forget. I'm gonna leave that. This is a family show, so I'm going to, I'm good for
would like
about.
you to know,
No, it's
Have
not.
you ever had
Remember,
a guest that made Matt blush so hard he had to exit stage left?
Yeah,
Last-
Matt, put the hat back on. You're getting
last
really
week-
red now.
last week's guest said "fuck" 3 times, and I
Yeah.
still stayed on camera for that. So
Yeah, what is Walsh's quota going to be? I've never seen Shaun ever angry, ever
fair point.
fierce. He's such a gentle giant, right?
You know what they say? You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Man, you know what? So of course I'm lying because of course I'm in sales. I have seen him mad. I have seen him angry, and I've seen
Yes,
him
you
keep it
have.
together.
Oh
I've
my
seen him
God.
hold up a wall. Yeah, I've seen it. I love it.
Yeah, that's
You know
because
what?
my fist was through it at the time.
Do you remember when I was good at this? I don't anymore. All right, enough.
We knew this was going to slip bringing Shaun on. You just knew it.
Shaun.
Yeah.
For those
knew it.
not familiar with Sim Space, would you
Yes.
please just drop some knowledge, or do you not want them affiliated in any way with the atrocities that we will be committing for the next 49 minutes?
Well, they hired me, so they're stuck with me.
Fair point.
Good point.
No, seriously. So part of what SimSpace is really trying to do is create a platform in a virtual environment where we can train the best defenders in the world. It's really funny in our industry. Red teams are probably 10%, but they get 90% of the attention. It's kind of like the Navy SEAL. There aren't a lot of them, but they get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And I have a side story on that, but in the interest of
I'm
time,
shocked.
I'll leave that alone.
Can you do it quickly?
No.
No.
No. Keep
Okay.
going.
Shout out to Charles, who has also seen Shaun angry. So yeah, at some point, apparently he does turn green and large and knocks buildings over.
Did you see
Yeah,
the squirrel? Did you see the squirrel go by Shaun's screen? Squirrel.
What?
Right back
Okay.
over here, Doug. Come on.
You guys, I mean, as much as I appreciate, joke night at the Chuckle Hut, we do probably need to deliver something that we promised the audience we were going to talk about.
Give it
All
to
right.
the people.
Shaun, let's dig into SimSpace a little bit. SimSafe, sorry. I know I'm going to do that again. Massive apologies ahead of time. Founded in 2015, but that means that the concrete was really just starting to dry when the world broke. So as a startup, how did that affect what you guys were doing, as far as growth and revenue? I mean, were there positives even coming out of that thing? Did it give you a chance to take a breath as opposed to the normal pace of where we get out there and get after it at the startup life?
Would you like to start, EP?
You want me to start? No, you can have first dibs. It's all yours.
All right. Yeah, I mean, to quote Geoffrey Moore's book, it was definitely inside the tornado. Okay. Look, when you had 3 big dynamics. First, you got all the egos. Okay. You got people who think they know everything. They got people that think they've got the messaging right. And, half the people in the world will tell you need marketing. The product sells itself. And we all know that is not true. Okay. Second,
shout out to our brothers and sisters out there in the marketing team. How many times have you had that conversation with some angry developer or engineer?
What time is it?
Yeah.
I have that conversation all the time. And, I mean, the thing that is true, you got to have a product in order for marketing to work. And you got to have marketing in order for sales to work. Now, when EP and I were chatting about this, he asked me the question, does marketing work for sales? And philosophically, I actually believe they do. There's a great quote from David Ogilvy who said, if marketing is too cute and marketing is too clever, you've never sold anything for a living. Because when you walk in to a CISO and you talk to them, they don't want cute and clever. And let's face it, me in a dress is never going to be cute and clever. But what they want is some help. They just want someone who goes, I know what you're dealing with. I can help you fix it. And I won't embarrass you in front of your boss if you decide to use it. So that friction every day. I remember EP will come into my office one day going, these MQLs suck. What the hell are you guys doing? You're wasting my team's time. And we yelled at each other for about an hour. I left. I came back and I said, all right, what the fuck's wrong?
It's one.
And then we slowly, we hugged it out, and we got there.
Yeah, we did.
But the facts are is that the biggest thing that marketing people have to understand is that a message is not selling. Digital marketing is not selling. Social media is not selling. And it's really, really humbling to have to admit that you don't know shit. And when you sit down and you listen to gong recordings of your people talking to folks, it's enlightening and humbling at the same time.
Yeah, shout out to Gong, and also I want to throw one out there for Avoma, AVOMA, great company. So, Shaun, I mean, listen, I love it because it was probably about 49 minutes, not probably the full hour that we yelled at each other, and we hugged it out. And you did hurt me on the hug. I love it because we were talking in the green room about, hey, does sales need marketing, or does sales work for marketing, or marketing work for sales? And I mean, look, I'll share what I shared yesterday. They both need each other. They need to work together. They need to sync, and they need to listen. At the end of the day, listen to what I'm telling you. I need you to bring, and that's how you get. That's how you get some
problematic accent.
That's how you get some good results. So let me ask you this, Shaun. Matt probably pissed you off on the open about the Grammarly speak and the way the AI is influencing language, but we'll get to that later. Let's talk about the topic, how we came up with the title, and actually how you helped us with the title. Why do CISOs hate marketing so much? And shout out to some of the texts that I'm getting. Guys, go to the LinkedIn and put the chats there so we can all see them. I got people lighting up my phone on this one.
Yeah, stop sending it directly to the phones, please. We're in LinkedIn. Do the thing.
Yeah, I'll share with Matt, and Shaun. But go ahead, Shaun. Why do CISOs hate marketing so much?
Number one reason is marketing has no empathy for their life. The biggest problem when I talk to CISOs is they're like, look, guys, don't tell me that you're 42% better than your competitor. Don't talk about your competitor. Tell me what you do for me, okay? And the one thing that most marketing people just don't get is it's not about you. It's not about winning your Webby Awards. It's not about any of the things that you think are cute and clever. It's about connecting with the person who writes a check. And that person is happy to write you a check if you help them. And the reason that most CISOs really, really hate marketing is marketing doesn't understand them and their real problems.
Shaun, marketing is a pain in the glass. Isn't it about how many glass awards you can get? Hey, look at this. We got 17 shiny glass trophies on our shelf, and it means that we have paid a lot of money for them.
And especially the ones when you come into some of the trade shows, like Tuesday morning at 7:45 to set the booth up, and it's already there. And you're like, best in show. It's like, what did we do? How did we even win this?
Yeah. Shout out to Kundef. He says, why should I care?
Fair
Dave's
point.
Dave's a CISO. Dave's like, why should I care, Shaun? Let me do my best Dave Kundef impersonation. Dave, I love you. Hey, Shaun, why should I care? Sorry, Dave, that was weak. Bad impersonation, Dave.
His official title on this is, this is ripping off the Jim Rome show, is Dave in a car phone in Kentucky.
Ah, yes. I like it. Shaun, answer.
And the number one problem that marketing people have, they've never done the job. One of the things I look for, and one of the reasons that when you look at people that you want to bring into marketing, you have to have people who have actually done it for a living. Because if you haven't done it for a living, you don't know what it's like. You get the call from your board of directors and go, what about this hack? Are we safe? Do we have the right answers? Are we going to have to put out a press release? Are we going to be on CNN for a data breach? If you have never been on the other side of that line of fire, and it is a line of fire, there's not a word in a data sheet they care about. There's not a word on a PowerPoint they care about. They want to know very, very simply and directly, what are you going to do for them? How are you going to stop them from having to wake their people up at 2 a.m. to to address, work 48 hours, and then be told, well, you guys should have had this together anyway. Why did this happen? You know, you guys are supposed to be perfect. And there is an expectation of perfection for CISOs that is completely unrealistic in the world. And, you know, when I think about why CISOs hate marketing people, it's because they don't have a deep, visceral empathy for what they live.
All right. I got a lot to unpack. We got some great stuff coming in from the audience. We've got a lot of bullshit nonsense from EP. But if you dig in,
I'm here.
there's some diamonds in there. The glass one, you actually landed that plane. That was impressive. So I'm not a CISO, but I'm going to play one on the radio. I'm also not an engineer, but I'll play one on the radio. What I am is someone who's been in marketing, and there is a Venn diagram that gives you that middle bit, that symbol from, you know, Zeppelin 4, where there is overlap. And, you know, marketing has to be able to communicate a story that gets the information out of engineering's brain into the CISO's brain. But there is things in the middle. And shout out to Charles, who has a great point where, you know, he's saying that CISOs need it short and simple. The time is the precious commodity. And I totally understand that. And that's the thing that marketing people need to understand. You know, we've got to stop working so hard to impress each other and win Webbies, and get the information from engineering, development, product management, QA, the incredible amount of work that those men and women are doing to get it up into the C-suite. But at the same time, that shit's really hard to understand. So this whole like product sells itself thing, that doesn't work, because a CISO doesn't want to have to dig through all this stuff to understand that either. So how do we find, and Shaun, this even goes back to the opening thing about when AI starts filtering language. I'm not going to say dumbing down, because it's still relatively smart. But after a while as a CISO, if the language is all the same, how do you decipher the difference? You know, there is nuance. There are esoteric differences between products and solutions that are in the same market. But if language is being dulled to the point, how do you actually get to it?
And by the way, this is a critical answer, because think about going down the rows of these trade shows and you're hearing the same kind of thing. So how important is this, Shaun? What's the answer?
Yeah, I mean, the analogy that comes to my mind is, let's face it, CISOs are the prettiest girl at the bar, and every vendor's trying to pick up line. And they've heard them all before.
Is that not a little problematic right now? How about the prettiest person at the bar?
Yeah, prettiest person. Come on now. Got to
keep it my bad shot. Bad
2022, man.
Yeah, it's all good. We got your back.
And they've heard it all before. And to your point, Matt, is that AI will make language generic. It will take away the significance of words. It will take away the creativity of uniqueness. It will take away the ability to break through the buzz. And that's one of the reasons why I'll use it as a correcting mechanism, but I do not accept things that Grammarly and other people put in there, because they don't understand what I'm trying to communicate. We have a society that is, while it's very divided, there is a tremendous requirement for conformity inside those major divides. And I think that's also happening in marketing. Is we're getting to a point where we're so afraid to say anything that might offend anyone or might create a controversy, that we have ceased to be meaningful in the brain patterns of CISOs.
Whoa. Okay. Aggregate that. You got to let me digest that for a second. That's an incredible comment. When you have ceased to be meaningful, why are we still here? You know, and this is the thing, if what marketing ends up doing is creating interesting and innovative campaigns that entertain each other, but the CISO is like skipping to the end. You know, you've got a 2.5 minute long video, and she's finally just like, you know, get me to the 217 moment where I've got the email address. How much money do we set on fire for that stuff? You know, how do we fix that in a way where we're telling fun and creative? I mean, look at our logo. It's Courier font. The whole point is better logo coming soon. How do we make it better? EP came in and spray painted EP in front of it, made it better.
Damn straight.
That's kind of it. You know what we're doing, full stop, point blank. It's black and white and red all over. But from a CISO's perspective, and Shaun, as we said earlier, you've been at this from the marketing perspective, the sales perspective, from the product perspective. How do we do something cool, fun, and innovative that also still gets in front of the people that we need to see this so that he or she can make the decision? That's the thing that's going to solve the problem, that's going to allow me to sleep at night and also our board members to realize we're doing the right things. So solve this problem. You've got 2.5 minutes.
So Charles Portnoy in one of the comments made, said, Shaun, has conformity gone too far? And if so, how do we draw it back? And I have an answer to that. Your inside voice. You actually say the inside voice stuff outside. Let me give you a great example. One of the things that consumer people love about our product is that it's used by the U.S. Cyber Defense Command and lots of Five Eyes intelligence agencies, and they go, military grade. And everyone I know who's ever been in the military said, that's a pile of shit built by the lowest cost provider.
The best old joke ever that EP didn't make.
Yes.
And, and that's the point, is to say, look, we're going to tell you the inside joke. I don't care what your hobby is. Okay. I like to race cars. And within 5 minutes of talking to someone, if they've ever been to a track or they haven't.
Are you racing your car right now? What just happened?
I am not. I'm not sure where that's coming from. But we all know, whatever our hobby is, whatever it is we do, I swear to God, that's not me.
She really wants you to talk to her right now.
But there is an immediate vernacular and credibility that you can establish by using the inside voice. And we are cowards right now of our inside voice because we're afraid to offend anyone or say something that's controversial. And I remember when marketing used to be about creating controversy and thought. Because if you didn't spark that, why are you saying it? Why are you spending the money to put it out there if you don't change the way people think?
Well said, man. And, God, you hit it right on the head. That creativity, those brainstorm meetings where you can go in and you don't have to be exceptionally careful on every word. But, let's face it, it's a different world now. And sometimes, I've worked for some people ahead of marketing that had more than one voice in their head going on. And it just like this ball of confusion. Whereas others, they've got it. They're listening to the voices of the people in the room. And I said it earlier, getting everybody to work, together. So speaking of everybody, Shaun, which would be Mosh or Shat.
Let me read
that.
the script.
I like Shat. Shat, I'd go forward. Just don't shat in your pants. Okay, so really, Mr. Walsh, Black Hat. Let's talk about it. Is this going to be a time this time around for marketing? Think about it. Is it a time for the marketing crews to make a massive impact? Think about what's going on in the actual industry itself, from the business challenges to the security challenges for the whole. Is this a time to make a massive impact or a loud splash in the pool? Or do you expect, this time around a crowded pool with a lot of ripples? Now, I don't know if you were there last year. I think I remember running into you. And Matt and I have been kind of talking about it because it is the off season, but we're like, I think T-minus 4 weeks away.
Right. So
like, what are you kind of thinking? And, what are you advising and what are you thinking that we're going to see this time around?
I don't know what the rest of the world is going to do, but here's my approach when you talk about going to a trade show. It's like walking down the street with a bunch of stores. You never look in the stores because they don't have anything you want. And where you're going. You got a purpose when you're going down the street and you're going from place A to place B. If you want to change it, there is a reason that they have barkers that stand on the street corner and go, my restaurant. Now, we're going to do that with the Ducati. Okay. let's face it, most of us spend about $100,000 to go to a trade show, and our booth is the same generic booth. Ooh, I have a different color t-shirt than the other guy. It's like, look, I'm either going to wash my car with it or I might wear it to the gym, but I'm not going to be your walking human billboard. But you spend an extra $15,000 and give away a Ducati, you go from 800 to 8,000 people through your booth because it's different.
Yes.
And the extra 10% that you spend on the overall cost of your marketing expenditure is going to yield 10x return. And that's what we've lost. And
I'm ashamed to say this. So many people have Googled Ducati. It's the most premier Italian bike on the planet, but just put it out there. Some people I know are going, what's a Ducati? Dude, I wanted you to surprise everybody with that. I really didn't think you were going to talk about that on the show today.
Well, you gave me a great straight line,
Dude, are you kidding? We've got a global reach here, man. I mean, this is why you're getting the word out now. That people haven't bought their tickets, they're going to be there.
Your booth is going to be popping for two reasons. One, the Ducati. Two, Shaun is going to have something he's signing in his booth. I promise you, because I'll be there. And three, Matt and I are going to be in that booth barking the Ducati. That is going to be hot. Can't wait. Are you going to can't fire it up in the room though, right? Probably going to.
No, we cannot fire it up.
Okay.
The fire marshals will haul me away.
Let me tell you something. You can't fire it.
Wow. Okay. So again, for our younger listeners, just Google Fireman Bill and we'll get there from there. It's funny, Shaun, when you're talking about that, walking down in the shows and, it's like in the stores, is there a better place for this? Not just Vegas, but Mandalay Bay. And all due respect to everybody that works in Mandalay Bay, when you go up into the shops and they have all of these just glorious, beautiful things and clothes are just, they literally sparkle, but they're incredibly expensive. And everybody's walking down the middle and we all go into the stores. We talk to the people, then we go back outside and nobody buys anything. You never see anybody walking down through the shops with bags of things that they bought. And it just was dawning on me as you're talking about the show, especially from a CISO. So the CISO is like the parent who's got the wallet, who's there with the kids, anywhere from, well, obviously they're 18 to 25. And they all want, let me get that bedazzled jean jacket. Let me get that new pair of Jordans, whatever.
Did you say bedazzle?
He did.
I did.
He did.
Oddly enough, that should have been an EP line, but I used it instead.
Yeah, you stole it.
But it's that same type of thing. So, when we look again at, and Sharon Brown has got some great comments in here, and I'd read all of them, but I can't read that text that small anymore. I apologize for it. But, as far as how do we get the CISO's attention with the amount of money and time and energy that we are putting into doing these shows? When you come home, your booth looks like somebody else's booth. Okay, let's put an Italian motorcycle in it that Tom Cruise used in Mission Impossible 3. That's the differentiator. How can we as an industry, not just marketing, and now I'm looking at you, developers, product management, QA, engineering, make something good enough that people stop? We talked about this in the postmortem from RSA, where what was this year's sizzle? I mean, there was a lot of steak. Awesome. None of it was like when you're at Chili's. Yeah, and I'm using Chili's. When they're walking out with them fajitas and you're smelling them, you're like, oh yeah.
Bunch of A1 sauce, no special sauces.
A1, really? But so Shaun, back to you, like, how do we get back to that point? I felt like we were kind of going in that direction, or is this just the general cycle of how the industry works? We make really cool shit, we talk about it for a while, and then we don't do anything new for a while, and then we have to talk about stuff that isn't that interesting.
I think it really has more to do with the change in problems. One of the things that happens every 3 to 4 years is there is a new conundrum presented to the security world. And until there are those new problems, you do live in sort of a sizzle purgatory where there isn't a need for sizzle. There's a question about efficiency and operation and compatibility, and how do you fit into my ecosystem, and do you share the right data with Splunk, and so I can have my SOC analysts through all the stuff. But most of the rest of it is not it. You know, there's a new hack announced, there's a new CVE announced, but the fundamental paradigm doesn't shift that often. But
I have to admit that right there, when you started to say I was like, oh God, what's he about to say? Don't.
It wasn't going to be number 2.
Okay. The fundamental paradigm. I'm sorry, I interrupted. You were saying.
But, you know, let's face it. We all went through the Cylance AI transition. And that was revolutionary because it fundamentally changed how that function operated. Then there were another 12 companies that did the same thing. And we haven't reached that point where the market is getting that type of fundamental transition. And there are lulls in the sizzle, I'm afraid to say.
Shaun, talk about fads and trends. Like, is it safe to bring yesteryear trends back, or do we leave those in the hope chest full of mothballs? Or, you know, are you starting to see some new trends? If so, what are they? Because, you know, I have some feedback, but I want to get yours first.
Speaking of yesteryear, EP might have some feedback.
That was good. Jab.
Peter Frampton would be proud.
Yeah. Who?
Peter Chris?
Google search.
Yeah, we're old now. All
right, fads and trends.
Fads and trends. I think the biggest trend is actually driven more about humans than technology, because the biggest problem CISOs face is not the technology, it's not the hacks, it's the lack of trained, qualified people. And you know, we've all seen waves of outsourcing in various areas of IT over the years. And I think the growth of service providers is unquestionably going to be the biggest trend. The second part is automation. If you do not have a strategy to eliminate why human beings have to use your product, you are doing it wrong. And then the third part is the global crowdsourcing of security intelligence. One of the things, because our product is used a lot by NATO countries, and especially Ukraine right now with what's going on in their country, the need to share intelligence. One of my favorite books, long story short, 7,000-year-old wizard, someone asked him, you know, how do you like things? And he said, simple, like good versus evil. He goes, no, good versus evil is kind of like us versus them. And that's why.
Oh, that is nice.
Okay,
that is nice.
For that book, that's incredible. I'm going to put that one next to useless words. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is good. Say that one more time, because it resonated on the eardrums really well. Say that one more time, Mr. Walsh.
Good versus evil is complex. Us versus them is simple. Strong. And it's from a book called The Bulgarian by a guy named David Eddings.
I need a T-shirt with that, Walsh. Can we get some swag? Let's get some swag with that.
And it just cuts through all the bullshit. Yeah. Simple task.
Yeah. See that?
And those are the trends that I see as we go forward.
So love that.
Piling on that, and the simple question is, who's going to Black Hat? And a little bit complexifying the trend idea, how much of this is a job fair? You know, theoretically, we're coming out of whatever this last lull has been, if we want to call it, a year and a half, 2 years, 2.5 years, if it extends to 3 years, or if this is it forever. But there are people now that are just saying, you know what, screw it, I'm going on my own, whether I'm taking PTO from a company or.
It's not a job fair, it's a poach fest. There's a big difference.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
Because the whole time there, I'm trying to poach people from other organizations.
Yeah.
Because you know who you want. Now it's just a question of, does the proverbial grass in your backyard look better than the grass they have in their backyard?
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I can speak on firsthand experience. RSA for me was, all right. Yeah. I'm going to go out there and find it. I had a couple that I was already looking at, but Matt pulled me out and he's like, come on, man, let's go out there. And I'm like, all right, I got dual purpose now. One to have pillow fights and one to actually look to see who's got green grass.
Tune
So
into 3 episodes ago. We discussed the pillow fight at length. It's delightful.
yes, natural feathers. So Black Hat is a massive network show. However, I will say from experience, I've actually closed more business at Black Hat than I have at RSA. RSA is just like so much going on. Black Hat's a little bit more focused. And by the way, the deals that are getting done and the customer meetings, it's not at those late night parties listening to Matt and watching Matt do his dancing. It's actually happening in the lobbies and in the suites.
Don't
Hotels.
sleep on Matt dancing at late night parties. That is truly a delight to behold.
Yeah. So any other trends there, Shaun, outside of, like, do you see anything new happening in terms of, the networking or from a marketing perspective or new trends? Let's, one of the things I wanted to ask you is about the CISOs. Like if you got one tool right now, Shaun, and you've got to get 50 CISOs to a dinner, or maybe it's not a dinner anymore. Maybe it's not
a dinner.
Guns in a rodeo. Maybe it's not like, I don't know, whatever. What is the thing? What is pulling CISOs out? Not really post-COVID yet, man. I mean, it's like, it's still hanging out there. People are still creeping on whether they want to go out or not. And if they do get out, what's pulling them? What's drawing them? What kind of marketing tactics are working?
The biggest thing that we're having success with is sharing charity. So we put on a big, we put on a thing with a group here that builds computers for STEM programs. And they don't need another bottle of whiskey. They don't need another steak. They don't need to see another football game. But if you give them a way to give back and make that extra couple hours have a purpose, that really matters to them.
That's rewarding. I like that.
It is.
Really cool. I remember we did an SKO in Huntington Beach. Hopefully you guys were at that one. And we were building bikes.
Yes.
On the last day.
Yep.
And we were building bicycles for, God, what did we build? Like 150 of them.
Yeah,
and they all went to charity, to the Boys and Girls Club of fill in the blank. And you know what? It was an awesome bonding experience. And I mean, obviously that was for employees, but you know what? I can see CISOs, especially those that are already involved in philanthropic work. That's a very cool idea, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean this sincerely. I mean, I know we talk, we goof around a lot on this, but the time that we're living in right now and what's happening with inflation, where people are really, really having to make hard choices between gas, what type of groceries do I buy? I got to cut back. I need to do different things. And we live, we talk about living in the information age and the internet age. And the thing that I've seen with CISOs is a lot of them came up through, I will say non-traditional, they didn't go to a top school and get a CS degree and that sort of thing. They joined the Navy. They went to, military, ET school and got some other stuff. And then they finished their degree while they were in active service and got out and started doing jobs. And it goes back to my point about empathy and understanding, is it speaks to them at a deep, visceral level. And it also speaks to them in that they genuinely believe that helping that next generation get ready and be armed and be prepared to outlive or outstrip the impacts of inflation, it means something to them.
I want to lean it. Wow, did I really just clear my throat on the air? I apologize. That's a $5 fine. Stugout's is strong in me. And obviously, I listen to that show a lot. Okay, but we're talking about, is it a job fair? Is it a poach fest? But then to your point about getting to the show and the next generation and the cost of gas, and I'm going to land this plane. Just give me a second. Traditionally, Black Hat, RSA, some of the big shows is a place where you reward young BDRs, young SDRs, people that are on the way up, you bring them out there to staff the booth or get them involved in the events, etc. What we saw last year with Black Hat was a really stripped down version, and the common refrain was they only let people there who need to be there, or like we need them to be there. And that's what I'm wondering now, if that change is going to be permanent, because we've all bitched because we're all veterans that, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't talk to anybody important that whole week. Okay, yeah, but you had a lot of fun. You ate good steak. You got drunk, whatever. But it's also a really important proving ground, right? I mean, it's almost like spring training or exhibition season in sports, or, in the run up to Broadway when you're doing your preview shows.
Mm-hmm.
Can we afford to do that anymore given how much it costs? Hotels are still cheap because Vegas is dying to fill them up, but getting there is one thing. Eating once you get there is one thing. For what you look at as organizations who they send, yes, we want to talk to the people who make the decisions, but how to grow the generation already here. I'm not saying screw the ones that are coming up in high school and college. We've got this year's draft class. What do we do with them to get them reps?
And by the way, I just want to put it out there that you guys see Matt, but he's actually a bot. This is his clone today. So the Poppy, his real self will be back in just a moment. He's two-timing today. Yeah, your mic's a little poppy. I just want to throw that out there. Just got to throw it out there, letting everybody know. You sounded awesome. Well, I know in your head you sound good. Remember how Walsh was talking about those voices?
Answer my question, Shaun.
The short answer is nothing gives you better reps in how to get your rap right than having to talk to 100 people a day. And I think that any firm that doesn't make that investment is shortchanging themselves. It is truly a penny wise, pound foolish approach. I had 3 people at RSA this year that it was their first trade show ever. Wow. And day one, they were terrified.
Oh, yeah.
That someone would ask them a question. By day 3, they had it down, baby. They were rapping. They were riffing. And they didn't know the answer and would grab the SE that was in the booth. And that is, as a mentor and as someone who has worked with multiple generations of people through my career, that's just one of the best feelings in the world. And then when they go back to the office and they're an SDR talking on the phone, one of them was a young woman who we hired from Forrester, and this was her first product marketing job, her first RSA. And now she's out talking to the analyst about our product, and she sounds credible because she's done it a couple hundred times during that week. And you can't replace that. You can't replace that internalization of your story by putting them on a Zoom and having them listen to a recording.
Shaun, you can only put 3 people in your booth. You have a tight budget. Are you putting and no executives? It has to be non-exec. Are you putting a salesperson, a marketing person, or a recruiter? Or somebody, a product manager, engineer.
Wow.
Yeah. Shaun, 3. Engineer. You have 5 to choose from. Engineer, recruiter, sales, marketing, product. You can only put 3 in the booth to be the most effective, and they can't be execs. And yeah.
Okay. So I have to pick from those 5, or do you just want to know who my 3 would be?
Who your 3 would be. And mind you, CISOs are coming up to the booth.
Yep.
We hope.
I would pick my youngest SE because they are going to know it. They're going to live it. And they're going to have that direct empathy because they have had to stand in front of those people and implement that out on site during a POC. And nothing gives you better trial by fire than that. And the youngest ones will say the inside part out loud, and that'll have credibility with the CISO. Second, I'm going to put a young SDR in there because I believe that people respond to genuine communications, and young SDRs will do that. And then I want to actually put one of my customer success people in there because they deal with it every day. So those would be my 3 choices.
I didn't even put that one up there, and you know what? That was a zinger. Great call. because
All
they're
right, look-
talking to the customer. Very good. I love it.
By the
Little
way,
light-
by the way, I have to make a shameless plug.
Yo,
One of the best.
dude. We'll get there.
No,
It's a
this
segment.
is important. No, this is important right now. This is helping a friend. One of the best customer success people that Matt and EP and I ever worked with just got let go, unfortunately, in a riff. And her name is Kim Razi. If you were looking for a CS person, she is the bomb.
Kim is
Okay, go
amazing.
on.
Yes. Kim, we got your back.
Last
Keep
week,
going,
the
Sean.
guest-
It's your show.
Last week,
It's
the
Sean's
guest
show.
literally gave out his cell phone number.
Yeah.
Today, Sean is
He
naming
did.
someone by name who just got whacked.
Matt, we've just turned into a recruiting agency.
Well, we told you that we would bring the truth and honesty on this show. So
Hell
if
yeah.
nothing else, I can't imagine
Yes.
anything
Raw.
more in depth than that. All right, both of you guys, shut the fuck up and let me ask a question. That's 2. Sean, it's Friday, the day after 12 August. You are a founder. You're a CEO. You're a CISO.
Yep.
What's next?
Personally get on the phone and call these people and say, I appreciate you taking the time out of your life to stop by and learn about us. I'm available to you. Here are my 3 smartest people in these, if you have these types of questions. If not, here's my email. Let me know. I'll get the right person to talk to you. CISOs are too insulated. CEOs are too insulated from their direct customer selling process, and nothing makes a CEO more qualified to help a person than having to go through the selling process themselves.
Oh, I love that.
Clean.
Every
Very
CEO
clean.
founder out there, write that down.
Yes.
All right. So all of this, because this has just been a complete lunatic asylum. We got about 8 minutes left. Sean, I ask you to keep this one a little bit short, but let's do some leadership corner here.
You know better than that.
Well, we still got EP's got some long-winded stuff coming up. I mean, you never know. Plus,
I'll
we're
be
going to
quick.
get to the actual shameless plugs section. Leadership corner. What's on your playlist? What are you listening to? Are you reading anything? Are you getting in strange medieval battles on a Saturday? Like what's happening in your world?
So right now, in terms of books, I'm reading the of course now I can't remember the damn name, but it's God. What the hell is the name of the book? I'm sorry, guys.
This is leadership in action, right there.
It's about the capitalistic implications of free social media.
Ooh.
God,
Ooh, I'd like
But
to see that.
but
if you can remember the name.
yeah. One of these days, I'll put it in comments.
Google that. That feels very SEO.
Yeah, but the thing that I like about the book is understanding how we have become unwilling products. And the premise of it is we have, much like when the Patriot Act came out and we surrendered personal liberties for security, we are now surrendering privacy for products. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. When we look at the way that people are being tracked and the nefarious ways that data can be used, given some of the recent Supreme Court decisions and other sorts of things, I believe that privacy rights will become, in many ways, the civil rights of the 21st century.
Interesting. Although, given how much we have voluntarily given our privacy away, now suddenly we're demanding privacy as opposed to civil rights, which people have clawed, fought, and died for since the dawn of time.
And now that there are multi-billion-dollar people and organizations that are profiting off of that to an exorbitant level, you are going to have to fight, because every time you win a new piece of privacy, they have to give up profit. And history has shown capitalistic pigs don't give up profit.
Got that straight. Privacy is what drives Web3, man. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's great you bring that up.
And I'm going to have to fight for the last 5.5 minutes of this show in order to hand it over to EP. Now it is time for the Epic Corner. EP?
What is epic? Well, Speaking of privacy, so two of the world's biggest GOATs, one from golf and one from basketball. Walsh, you could probably guess who they are because I know you're an avid race car driver. We're talking about Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. Okay, check this out. This is epic. First of all, I grew up on Jordan, and Matt still wears his shoes because he's trying to help him pay for his boat. No, not a boat, a yacht. Both of these guys have got 2 yachts. Which one do you think is bigger? All right, well, Tiger has a yacht, sorry. And guess what it's called? Privacy. Yes, that is the name of his yacht. Privacy. 20 mil, 155 feet long, 3 decks plus an observation deck. But then comes MJ, number 23, the greatest 23 ever on any basketball player. He's got an $80 million yacht, 70 meters long, and I can't do the conversion. Sorry, I know it's larger.
Roughly about 225 feet.
Okay, 5 decks, one for each championship player on his teams. 8 cabins that can be reached via an elevator, and the crown jewel, which really makes this the most part of the epic story. Dude's got a full-length basketball court on the Joy. Yeah. So how Matt and I get to do a broadcast live from that baby, hell, I'll just get on Shaun Walsh's dinghy and we'll do it from there. But is that epic? That's from the Epic Corner today.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore? So, yeah, what is the comparison between privacy and joy? Apparently, joy, it's worth about 1/3 more than privacy. At least lengthwise. Anyway, that's a terrible thing. But let's not forget, my dear friends, pride goeth before the fall. Now, Shaun, because you annexed it already, shameless plugs. Folks that might be looking for you. They might be looking for what's going on in the world of SimSafe. All of the good things. Please tell the people where they can find you and what you're up to.
Good enough. Actually, my first shameless plug is going to be for the U.S. Cyber Games team. SimSpace runs the back end for that. So if you really want to understand what it's like, then go watch these young, bright, talented people competing from across the world. And nothing is a better testament to how we help train and bring good cybersecurity into reality.
Awesome.
On a personal level, you can find me at Singulus.com and you can email me at Shaun.Walsh@simspace.com.
Now, see, look at this. This is what have we, EP, how many guests now have actually given out their direct contact information? This is how much they trust and believe in the audience who is coming in to witness what we do.
And Walsh didn't give out his fax number. So, I mean, that's pretty, that says a lot. But I do like the Singulus.
Just remember last week, Anthem gave you his personal cell phone number, so you can violate all of his 2FA stuff.
Love it.
All right, so this has been a bit of a clown show today, but if you pay attention, there's a lot of really, really good information in there. I hope that the marketers are listening. I hope that the CISOs are listening, because we should all be sitting at the same table, talking the same language, and just making sure when we do it, that we use less words and that we get rid of the useless words. Thank you for tuning in to PM73 Media on LinkedIn Live for more that's happening in the world of cybersecurity and just really kind of all the cool stuff writ large. You know, you can find us at PM73 Media on Twitter. We're going to be here on LinkedIn every week. We're going to be doing some very cool stuff at Black Hat, some of it live and some of it maybe not so live, but just across all the socials. EP, people looking for you, where they go?
Well, you know, my 9 to 5, I'm working for the good guys over at Silver Sky, best MSSP on the planet, making things move on the planet in the right direction. And then listen, everything else is Epic. Epic starts with EP, Twitter, TikTok, Insta. I got Epic starts in production, and LinkedIn. If people still use that, of course you do. It's a great tool. EdwardPreston.ai.
This is me not making a great tool joke, which is kind of a joke in and of itself. My name is Matt Stevenson. You know, you can find me at PacMatt73 across all of the things except the TikTok. Never going to be there. But go to Edwards. Trust me. It's the dance moves are just electrifying. That's it for today. You know that we're going to be putting this stuff out on the pod chain as well. So make sure you look for PM73 Media on Apple and Spotify, Audible and Ghana, all those good places. All the stuff that we're doing out here on LinkedIn. And in a couple of weeks, if you're in Vegas, come and find us. I mean, between me and EP, we're kind of hard to miss. Odds are we're going to be hanging around Shaun for a little bit because they got a pretty cool motorcycle. And yeah, man.
Drinks on Shaun.
It's hot. Summer sucks. Crank the AC. Pour yourself a drink of choice. If it's got some booze in it, good for you. If it doesn't, equally good for you, as long as it's cold, man, because it's hot. Only 2 F-bombs today. Tune in next week to see how many we do then. Until then, we will see you next time.